I mean, that's how you develop a skill set. Is there one you can either train for it, or you can just work at it 5 hours a day for 5 days a week, and you do a million reps. Yeah, and you just naturally will get better. I mean, that's what, like, if you go listen to the first podcast I ever did, I was terrible. First, video I made for YouTube, terrible. So there is a rep thing there. But if you want to cut short your reps, you hire someone to help you cut short your reps.
So both.
Yeah. So I don't need to necessarily do 5 days a week of a radio show to get good. I can hire the best trainer in the world, pay him $10,000 or whatever it costs for a few sessions, and then 10x my ability is my theory. So I'm just really leaning into the skill sets lately of always developing. I had a friend who actually came recently and said to me that every single morning he spends 30 minutes working on skills. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, every single morning I spend 30 minutes of my morning routine working on a skill I want to develop. And it just blew my mind because I'm like, who does that? Like, who sits there and deliberately develops their skills as an adult who's already super successful? I mean, when you're trying to get good at something, maybe you do a little bit of like, I'm going to work on deal analysis today. But successful people generally just stop developing them. Like, deliberate practice would be the word.
That's so weird because I feel like I agree with that. And I also feel like that's the worst thing that we could be doing. As we get more successful, it's like, dude, we got to
you got double down.
We got bigger responsibility. We got bigger tasks. We should be doubling down. Yeah. Also, I love that you just casually say, I'm just going to pay somebody $10,000 to teach me this thing. And
let's go. It would come back, guaranteed come. It's an asymmetric bet, right? Like,
this is the abundant mindset that it is the one thing that has imparted. I've said it already on this podcast before. It is imparted on me. And how do you just say, I'm just going to spend $10,000 on this person because I believe it'll pay off, or I'm going to spend. I know you've spent pretty big numbers on private masterminds to get in rooms with people, and I believe in all these things. But somebody in the car is listening, and they're like, I want to join Better Life, which is very reasonably priced, or maybe I want to join a higher dollar one, or maybe I want to join Brandon's high dollar mastermind, but it's just a big check, and maybe they have it, but they're still afraid. Yeah, and I get it because I'm in the same boat. So, like, how do you push somebody over the edge?
I just think very logically about it, and what I mean by that is this. When you think in averages, think in averages is probably one of the most important success principles in the world. Think in averages means, on average, every book that I read, every nonfiction book that I read makes me money, a significant amount of money. Because if I had never read any nonfiction book ever, I would still be working at that bank making $13 an hour. Every piece of information that I get makes me a little bit more money over time. Now, I don't know which book is going to do it. Like, I didn't know Rich Dad Poor Dad here or The One Thing were going to be two like the standout books of my life. But you don't know ahead of time. Steve Jobs once said you can only connect the dots looking back, not looking forward. So I can't say these are the 5 books going forward I'm going to step on and it's going to make me $1 million each. But if I read 100 books and I make $100 million, well, that means every book made me $1 million. And so I think conferences, right? If I go to 5 real estate conferences, and 4 of them are just duds, and I feel like I didn't learn anything and didn't build any connections. But one of them, I met a business partner, and we went and built a big real estate business together and made $5 million. Then I made an average of $1 million per conference because if I went to none. So it's very logical when I spend money on anything in that way, which is why I have a rule. Like, if I'm thinking about buying a book, if I even have the thought like, oh, I'd like to read that, I buy it no matter what. That's why I own so many books. I just buy a book no matter what. I may not read them. I heard a quote the other day that said, books, like, don't feel bad about piles of books in your house because it's like wine. Like, you just got to wait for the right night to enjoy it. But yeah, every book I just buy because I know that's $1 million or 100,000, whatever number you want to attach to it. So I'm very logical about it, and that's why I'm willing to make bets all the time on stuff.
I'm with you on books.
Yeah.
I buy a ton of books.
Yeah.
I don't care. Books are $30.
Yep.
Some masterminds are $30,000.
Yeah, I paid $30. $35. I paid for this $50,000 kind of private coaching thing. Like,
they all have a big enough return
every time. Oh, well, I shouldn't say that. On average, every time.
On average, yeah.
On average, every time. I don't know which one's going to be it, so I make my best choice, and it's all a gamble. But on average, every one. I mean, here's an example. One of the groups I'm a part of, it's $35,000 a year for me to be a part of this group. That's a lot of money. I mean, I'm not that loaded. I actually don't take a salary from Better Life. I don't make money from Open Door Capital till the end. And so I'm living on book royalties for the most part and the cash flow I get from my rental property. So I'm not as rich as people might think I am. And so 35 grand it's a chunk. 50 grand was a chunk. But I had one conversation with one of the guys in that $35,000 group 2 weeks ago. Me and Matt Buck did. And the stuff he explained over a 1-hour call will make the Better Life Tribe millions of dollars. It was so incredibly valuable. I could do nothing else all year in that group except for that one phone call, and that paid for itself. So I probably should have had Better Life pay for it, but I didn't.
I want to do this more.
Yeah, reaching out to people?
No, people on me. People, I was my super. I go to masterminds that I don't pay for because I'm so popular. No, people is not my weakness, but I want to pay to access more because I can't always charm my way into everywhere, obviously. But I want to learn that skill set, and I want other people to learn that skill set because I just think it's so valuable. And I watch you do it. I'm so impressed.
Well, this is one of the areas I've changed my mind 180 degrees over the past 10 years. So when I was early in my real estate career, it was do not pay for education. Don't go to events that are expensive. Like you can get everything for free on the internet. Don't pay. It's stupid to pay. I mean, when we first at Bigger Pockets started charging $9 a month for the pro membership, it was like we felt so bad. It was
$9?
$9 where it was at the beginning. I think it might have been $4 even at one point.
It's still too cheap.
Yeah, it's still too cheap. But like I was so against spending any money because I'm like, you don't need it. And now I realize like you're not spending the money necessarily for some information that you could get for free. Like people don't join the Better Life Tribe because they want information. I mean, yes, I have courses in there and stuff, but they're not joining. You can find every piece of information that I've ever said in that course, probably somewhere on the internet or in a book from the library. You're paying for access to people. You're paying for a belief change. You're paying for the group think. Group brainwashing is what we are trying to do. We are a cult
with success.
Okay. With
a cult of success.
Yeah, we are a cult of success here. You don't have to like sleep with the cult leader. Like that's the bad cult. We want to be a good cult, and so like that's what you're paying for is this camaraderie of people, and for that, like what an incredibly good investment. Like how does that not? If you're with forget even the Better Life Tribe, just in general, you go join a group of hundreds of people that have a different mindset than you, but has the mindset of what you want to become, and they're all working towards it, and you meet with them all the time in person or online. How do you not become more like those people? How do you not spend that money?
Wholeheartedly agree. I want to get better at it, but I want other people to get better at it too because I think it's so valuable. So I'm glad you answered that. But it also makes me think about the Better Life Tribe and other groups, and I think about this a lot, and I'm a little bit less apologetic about saying very directly what I think. I think paying for access to people who can afford to pay for access to people in it of itself without any other value. Better Life Tribe, we do it. We do a ton. We provide a ton of value. I believe if there was nothing else other than you're around people who can afford it, that would be enough.
Yeah. We have a thing in Open Door Capital called the Cabana Club, and it's anybody who invests $500,000 or more into one of our deals. It's funny, the Cabana Club is like, there's like 200 people in it at this point. We get together once a year, or maybe we have a special dinner at one of the Better Life events. But everyone's in it for the same reason. It's not to hang out with me. It's because they're like, oh, other people can invest $500,000 into an Open Door Capital deal. I want to hang out with those people. And so we did like a Maui trip. We're going to do another one, I think, this year. They just want to hang out with other people who can afford to spend.
Who can write the check.
Yeah, when we at the Better Life Tribe, when we first launched, remember this? We allowed spouses to join for free. Because that was my idea. Was like, hey,
I remember.
Yeah. So we were like, with this idea, we're like, okay, you join the Better Life Tribe for $300 a month. We launched this. Your spouse can join for free. What a brilliant idea, because we should work together on our goals with our spouses. We did a couples goal setting thing that sold the tribe and told everyone how great it would be. And the spouses didn't have to pay anything. And when people, this is a quote I learned from Michael Hyatt, who's a author that I really like. He said, when people don't pay, they don't pay attention. And I'm not saying every spouse this way, but 95% of those spouses never showed up to their pods, never came to any of the stuff. They just were they just didn't do anything. So they received no benefit out of the free education. So if you're somebody, I mean, this applies to people on both sides. If you want to do something, you do want to pay for that thing. I highly like. That's why the
skin in the game.
Yeah, skin in the game. I'm not saying go bankrupt over it if it doesn't work out. I think there's risk and there's stupid risk, and then there's skin in the game.
No credit cards.
Yeah, exactly. Don't go low if you don't have the money. But if it means you got to sell your car and go buy a cheaper car to get rid of a car payment, and instead join a group that's $300 a month instead of a car payment, yeah, all day long. Now you got skin in the game. That's not going to bankrupt you. You had to make a hard choice. And that choice better pay off, and so you're going to show up and you're going to pay. In fact, you mentioned that high ticket thing. I have a group called the 50. It's $50,000 a year to be in it.
Yeah, I want to join.
Yeah, I know you should be in it. It's great. $50,000. No discounts for friends. So it's.
Well, we're not friends anyway.
Yeah,
so
here's the thing. So Bigger Pockets is what, $40 a month for a pro membership. Better Life is like $300 a month, and the 50 is $50,000 a year. You know who complains the most? Oh, and then there's the free, let's say free Bigger Pockets people. The people who complain the most are the free Bigger Pockets people. The people who complain the least are the $50,000 a year people. So like there is something magical about like, yeah, when you invest money, you're invested. Again, you know, great power, great responsibility. So like, don't take advantage of people with that. But like, there's definitely a psychology thing going on there.
Yeah,
so I like paying for things. I'm part of another group that I used to pay $15,000 a year for it. This is like Mastermind. And then they're like, oh, you brought us a lot of people. And so we're going to give you a free membership. They changed my membership to free. I stopped paying for it. I have not been to a single event since. Not one.
Is that when it stopped?
That's when it stopped.
Because I know you don't really...
Yeah, I don't participate anymore. I love it. It's still great. Great things over there. Great people over there.
It's not a competition thing. It's just...
Yeah,
just like, does it hurt anymore?
Yeah, it doesn't. And I don't know why that is. It's just it's completely absurd. But I don't pay, so I don't pay attention. There's no skin in the game on that in that anymore.